The Ford Galaxie 500 wasn't just a car, it was an era. If you had one, you know. If you didn't, you're about to find out why it still turns heads today. Share your memories in the comments. Let's roll back time. Did you know the Ford Galaxie 500 wasn't just a stylish full-size car? It was hiding serious power under the hood. In the mid to late 1960s, Ford offered a massive 7-liter V8 engine as an option. That's about 428 cubic inches. At the time, it was one of the biggest engines ever offered in a production sedan. This wasn't just for show. The 7-liter Galaxie could put out over 345 horsepower, with serious torque to back it up. That made it surprisingly quick for such a large family car. It could keep up with some muscle cars of its time, while still offering enough room for 5 adults and a weekend road trip. And get this? Buyers could choose between an automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission. One of the quirkiest things about early models of the Ford Galaxie 500 was its windshield wiper system. Instead of being powered by electricity like modern cars, the wipers were run by engine vacuum. That's right, the same vacuum pressure used for other components under the hood was used to make the wipers move. It worked fine until you pressed the accelerator. When the engine vacuum dropped, like during hard acceleration or going uphill, the wipers would slow down, or even stop completely. Not exactly ideal if it started raining during a fast overtake. Ford eventually moved to electric wipers in later years, but this vacuum-powered setup was pretty common across American cars in the early 60s. Today, it's a fun little reminder of how different automotive engineering used to be, where simple systems ruled even if they didn't always work perfectly. A little bit frustrating, sure, but definitely full of character. Here's something today's drivers might find completely foreign. In the early days of the Ford Galaxie 500, the gear shifter wasn't on the floor or even between the seats. Instead, it was mounted right on the steering column in what was commonly known as a 3-on-the-tree. Now, that name might sound like some kind of secret code, but it was simple. A 3-speed manual transmission, operated from a lever beside the steering wheel. No fancy electronics, no digital displays, just pure mechanical feel. Shifting wasn't effortless. It took timing, finesse, and a good understanding of the pattern. You had to push up and toward the wheel for first gear, then pull down, then back up again. If you didn't know what you were doing, you'd definitely feel it. But the trade-off? A completely open floor. That meant a full front bench seat, which wasn't just practical. It was part of the experience. You could sit closer to your passengers, slide over easily, or just enjoy the roomy cabin without a bulky center console in the way. It was a different era, one where driving involved more muscle memory and less automation. And for many, that made it all the more memorable. Back in the 1960s and 70s, nothing said upscale cruiser quite like a vinyl roof. The Ford Galaxie 500 proudly joined that fashion trend, offering vinyl tops that gave the car a touch of elegance, like a hardtop convertible, but without the moving parts. It was an easy way to make your car stand out, to give it a bit of class and flair that looked great pulling into the driveway. At first glance, vinyl tops looked sleek and refined, but under the surface, a problem was quietly forming. The vinyl was applied over bare metal without full sealing, which meant moisture, especially in rainy or humid climates, could sneak underneath. Once trapped, that moisture turned the steel roof into a rust magnet. You couldn't see it happening until the damage was already serious. Many classic Galaxies suffered from roof rot that started with just a few bubbles under the vinyl and ended with major corrosion. Owners loved the look, but many learned the hard way that beauty sometimes came at a price. Still, that vinyl top silhouette remains a nostalgic symbol of the era. Imperfect, but unforgettable. Another thing that really sets the Galaxie 500 apart is what it was made of. on the inside. See, back then, car interiors weren't trying to cut weight with plastic everywhere. The trim, knobs, even the dashboard details, they were made from real metal. You could feel it every time you turned a dial or tapped the dash. It wasn't decorative. It was durable. The shine on those surfaces wasn't some chrome-look coating. It was actual stamped steel or aluminum, built to last for decades. And honestly, it gave the cabin a toughness most modern cars just don't have. Yes, it added weight. And yes, it could get cold to the touch in winter. But that was all part of the charm and the quality. In a world where plastic dominates everything, this old-school approach feels refreshingly solid. The Galaxie wasn't just built to impress. It was built to stick around. Believe it or not, the Ford Galaxie 500 wasn't just your uncle's Sunday cruiser or a family car for cross-country road trips. It was also a law enforcement workhorse. During the 1960s, police departments across the United States relied on the Galaxie 500 as one of their go-to patrol cars. And there was a reason for that. With available big-block V8s like the 390 and even the massive 427 cubic-inch engine, the Galaxie had serious power under the hood. These weren't just fast, they were built to chase. The top-end versions could push past 120 miles per hour, which made them more than capable of catching up with speeders or fleeing suspects on open highways. But it wasn't just about speed. The Galaxie's full-size body meant room for radios, shotguns, and officers in full gear. Its heavy-duty suspension and beefed-up brakes were designed to take a beating, day in and day out. The classic black-and-white livery looked downright intimidating on that wide, squared-off frame. So next time you see a Galaxie 500 at a car show, picture it with a siren on top, roaring down a two-lane road, chasing justice, one V8 roar at a time. Ever wonder why Ford named it the Galaxie? It wasn't just a cool-sounding word. It was timing. In the late 1950s and early 60s, America was deep into the space race. Satellites, rockets, and astronauts were dominating the headlines, and people were fascinated by anything futuristic. Ford tapped into that excitement. Naming their sleek new full-size car, the Galaxie gave it a bold, modern image. Something that felt fast, advanced, and a little ahead of its time. It wasn't about science fiction. It was about American ambition. The Galaxie name told drivers, this car belongs to the space age. And while it never left Earth, it sure made drivers feel like they could fly. Galaxie 500, built with muscle, remembered with pride. Got a story? Share it below.